What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Second Avenue Podcast. I'm your host, Jonathon and Elijah.
I'm your other host, Elijah Venencia. Let's kick it off. We got something very important starting next week. So by the next time you guys hear this, you will have results of what happened during our first week of our Paxton Basketball League. Jonathan and I, we're not ready to give up on the dream yet. We're still searching for that 10-day, trying to get whatever film we can get. So kicking it back off.
Yeah, we had our league managers meeting today, and that's what he was talking. He was like, there's some damn good basketball being played here every Sunday. I'll stand by that. He's like, most of you guys, you probably give up on that dream, though, basically. Like, you guys, like, it's good enough that, like, people come watch, they'll be like, okay, they're pretty good basketball players, but, like, you guys got to take it easy. Like, don't go crazy on the refs. Take it easy. You're not going to the league. It's too late for that. And I was like, you know what? You're right. I'm trying to have a good time, but
It's not too late
trying to
for
put
me.
I'm trying to put on a show though.
I'm 21 years old. You know that you see
You,
24-year-olds getting drafted. So I mean, he can say whatever he wants. He can believe whatever he wants. But in my heart, I know it's not over yet.
we're both going to the league still. Yeah, I believe it.
I got to get my mom at that crib.
Oh yeah, but no, I'm ready to get back in the league. We talked about how the games went the week after they happened. So we record on Sundays a lot. We play on Sundays, so maybe they'll be like basically live at this point. We'll see. I don't know,
Yeah,
but
I'm gonna be fucking
I'm
going
ready.
crazy, but talking about the refs, how they fucked
Uh-huh.
us. I'm freaking the fuck out. So
We're probably gonna turn into a basketball podcast where we're talking about our IRL basketball at some point. But yeah, I'm ready to get back into it. It's been, almost a year. We get to play the team that knocked us out of the playoffs last year. I'm ready. Been thinking about it for, 10 months, and the boys are back. We re-upped, had a couple snakes in the grass. We had to mow the lawn, and we're back better than ever.
yeah, definitely ready to get it kicked off. And then I mean, moving on, fantasy football. That was our weekly update. It's perfect transition into this basketball league. Little fantasy football update. I think I'm a loser. I think I'm gonna lose this game, come in second place in the league we are in together. So disappointing there, but what can you do?
Hey, welcome to the club. I've been a loser this whole year, basically, so I'm done. It's whatever. I'm ready for next season, though. I didn't draft the best team this year, I don't think. Probably the worst season I've ever had in all my leagues, and it won't happen again. I'll say that.
Yeah, I'm always a consistent like to make the championship, but I always choke or I'm not built like that, I guess. So unfortunate stuff there, but
I think
I
if I
got
make it
a
to the championship, I'm gonna win. But like,
I got a few
I'm either
rings.
gonna get I got a couple rings, but I'm either gonna get pretty far or I'm like not gonna make the playoffs. There's like no in between. Like I'm either making the championship at least or I'm not making the playoffs. I'm not gonna lose in the playoffs. Like my team's just like really good or really bad. And this year, really bad.
My team always somehow make a run. Like they'll find a way to get into that championship. Like so
They
it's
got that
it's always
dog
a
in them.
win. Yeah, yeah. I did the rumors are swirling. Am I a coach that can't get it done? Well, to see.
We will.
So we'll have this will be weekly from now on. We've done it, a few times where we've said like our songs of the month or songs of just songs we're listening to, kind of like an updated rotation of what we got going on. Each week we're gonna come with 3 songs that we were just randomly listening to, sent to each other, just kind of explain the moment we heard it or like a takeaway from the song. So with that being said, my number one track, this is last Sunday on the way to hoop, Savior interlude off Mr. Morale and the Big Steppers. Baby Keem killed it. We're in for a big year from Baby Keem. That was my takeaway from this. Is this next album we got a take coming up on it? So I'll let you go with your first pick.
My first pick was The Ends by Travis Scott. And my takeaway was that Andre 3000 feature. I mean, it's so good. He doesn't do too much music these days, but when he does, he's going to go crazy. And I'll remember that first listen of The Ends forever. And I was just driving around the other night and I had it on. And I was like, I hadn't heard in a minute and it just really hit. Like, I forgot how good it was. And I've been listening to it a lot since that day. But yeah, it's just such a good track.
Definitely great track there, and with yours, I saw him pop up. I was listening to it as well. So just phenomenal feature there. Great song. Just bumped that last night on my way home. My second track here, I have Topanga by Trippy Red. It's a really good track. It's not like a track that's gonna be like my favorite track ever, but once it pops up every once in a while, it's just always a banger. But my big takeaway is my boy Nick Cannon, not Nick Cannon with 14 baby mamas, but the white one is what we call him, Nick Cannon. Um, my boy, he hates this song. I remember back in COVID, we'd like go to like Chick-fil-A or something, just go out to eat. That's all there was to do was just drive and go get takeout food. It used to be in hell every time we were all banging that. So
I like that track. I don't listen to it, but when I hear it, I do like it.
definitely
Uh,
great track by Trippie Redd.
my next song was Six Man by Drake. One of my favorite YouTube channels is Bob the Pop Pop. If you're not familiar with him, he's a music reactor. He reacts to a new album every Friday. He, started off his music journey as like a rock fan. He's only listened to a lot of rock music, that kind of stuff. That's what he was into. And so his whole YouTube channel is really just dedicated to his journey in rap and becoming a better rap fan, becoming more, versed in his rap knowledge and what he's heard. So, he does different albums that people recommend. And obviously, Drake is somebody that people are going to be like loving him or
Yeah.
hating him. But either way, they're talking about him. So Drake is always getting the mention. He's like, okay, I'm going to listen to Drake. He started off with Take Care. He was, pretty like on Take Care. But this Friday, he put out his video reacting to If You're Reading This, It's Too Late. Of all the videos I've seen from him, this is definitely the album he hated the most. Like, he was not a fan. But I like it. It's one of my favorite Drake projects, at least for sure. I don't listen to it as much as I used to, but it is still definitely good. And Six Man was a track when I was watching that review. It was like one of his favorite tracks. And so seeing him have like a positive reaction to it, I was like remembering the good days when I would listen to that. Being in like high school, I remember that was like basketball season, dropped out of nowhere. And I would be just bumping, but it was either before going to the gym, going to practice, before a game. You could catch me listening to Six Man. And we got the Paxton League coming up, so it definitely got me like in the right mindset for obviously, I'm not a six man, but I was thinking about that just in general.
Yeah, no, definitely a great track. That's like middle school for me, seventh grade. I remember that dropped and ooh, banger. Um,
Fire.
Moving on to my last track, it's definitely probably my favorite track ever. We got "Runaway" by Kanye West and Pusha T. I had seen it like mentioned in or just watched the interview where Push is talking about how Kanye made him do like fucking 4 different verses, and he kept saying come back harder, come back harder. And I was just listening to it on the way to work. I think it was on Friday. And oh my gosh, Pusha T, it just perfectly fits the song. Phenomenal verse by Push, and then Mike Dean drums or whatever BD's got going on there, and then obviously Kanye as well doing his thing. So just phenomenal track.
I mean, that's a all-time classic right there. I love that track. Gonna be one of my favorites for the rest of my life. So that's a great
Yeah.
pick right there. My last track was "What Goes Around Comes Around" by Justin Timberlake. And you're gonna say, you know what, this is a random pick. I'll say you chose it as one of your tracks you were listening to at one of our previous rotation posts on Instagram, I remember. But I mean, that's a song and a project from Justin Timberlake that I've always like kind of been into. I kind of like every time I hear it. And so I don't think I said this last week in the pod, but I kind of decided in 2023, one of my resolutions was going to be, I'm going to explore a little bit more music. I'm going to listen to full albums from, lots of different genres, lots of different artists, and catch up on a lot of these like classics or like albums that I like songs from the artist, but I've never listened to a full album by them. Just so, diversify my taste a little bit and just see what happens. But my goal was 365 albums in 365 days. So one a day. I am behind. I have only listened to like, I think 4 or 5, and it's, we're 8 days in at this point. So a little bit behind, but we can easily do a 2 a day
Yeah.
some of these days. So I'm confident that I can still, take this down. I'm saying it on the podcast right now to hold myself accountable. But I was thinking about What Goes Around Comes Around. So the first album I listened to in this journey was Future Sex Love Sounds by Justin Timberlake randomly. I mean, it's, probably not the highest critical acclaim. It's probably not the most popular, but it was the one I was feeling on my list. So I got about like probably almost 60 albums on my list right now. But if you guys are listening, give me some albums. If you're listening to different genres like that, Elijah, obviously you're listening to different albums like that. Give me some
Yeah, I mean,
ideas.
Audio Slave by Audio Slave, the self-titled.
That's on my list. That's on my list.
That better be on the list.
It
I don't
is.
even need to mention that. So,
I have it scheduled out by like there's 31 days in January. But I had 30 originally for January. I was doing blocks of 30 basically. But it's in January, so it'll be, towards the top of my list. I knew you liked that one. So when I was thinking about different things, that crossed my mind. But even a lot of rap and some of these albums I have heard, like as a rap fan,
Yeah, not like a
I feel
dedicated
like
listen though.
exactly. Like I feel like, you know, I gave them a listen, but they didn't like stick. I'm gonna give them another chance to stick. Like Illmatic, I recognize great album, very good, but like I'm not going back to it that much. And so I want to give it that full another chance just to go back into it. And then some of them I do appreciate, obviously, and love, like Miseducation of Lauryn Hill. Going back to that one again, listen to it though, fairly often, songs
Yeah,
from it at
yeah.
least. But yeah, just a whole bunch of different stuff like that, just stuff I haven't heard in a minute. And I mean, we'll
Going
see.
from
I just
there,
want to
yeah,
find,
just
I
giving
just
them
want
a
to find
listen.
something new, see what I'm liking. But yeah, it's been cool so far. I've listened to Justin Timberlake. I listened to Songs in the Key of Life by Stevie Wonder, Parachutes by Coldplay, and The Best of Sade
Ooh,
by Sade. Very random assortment so far, but
yeah, I feel like the
I've been
diversity is
enjoying it.
gonna really strengthen that list. So I like the
Uh-huh.
diversity there.
Oh yeah. But I think it's time to get into today's topic. We talked about a lot of stuff so far, but the main point of today's episode is, we're going to give 5 hot takes / predictions for 2023 this year in music. Mine are really more predictions than hot takes. I don't know how your list is looking, but
Yeah,
excited to get
it's
into
a
it.
good mix of those. Like I feel like
Okay.
some of these can be viewed as a hot take. So the best way to kind of decipher that what we're both feeling is let's just get into it. So
Let's do it. You start us off here with your first one.
for my first one, I have Kanye West will release an album this year. We kind of got somewhat Donda 2, doesn't really count. I don't know if we're going to get Donda 2 or what's going to be going on. If there's going to be some form of an album release, I don't know what we're going to get. I don't know how many features we're going to get, stuff like that with, everything going on, but we're going to get something.
I like that prediction a lot. That was going to be on my list. I was almost going to say Kanye will drop more than one project this year,
Ooh.
which would be crazy, but I feel like he's so like sporadic that, if he's feeling it, he might, and you just never know how he's feeling. I do think, to your point about him being featured, I don't think he's be featured on many
Yeah,
projects this year,
yeah, no,
just
no,
because
yeah.
everybody's like, yo, I'm not doing that.
Mhm.
Uh, and so, it'd be interesting to see if he does release an album, would people be willing to be featured on it? I don't know. It
Yeah,
might
that's
just
what
be an
I
all
was.
Kanye project, which would be kind of interesting, just because he's somebody that I think his career is built on his collaborations. Almost, he's who he is
He
because
just
he's worked with so
legendary
many different
collab.
people,
Yeah,
and that's what I love about his artistic career. So, I mean, we'll see. I think it's one of those things like it's either going to happen or it's not. It's 50-50, but I do think this is 50-50. Like he's either going to drop or he's going to be totally quiet for the entire year. I think like he's going to be very active soon, or we're not going to hear from Kanye for very much. I don't know. We'll see.
yeah. I don't. I'm super interested to see how it goes. I don't know. I like the points you're making there. He's not going to have like very many features on it or anything, but we'll see what happens. Maybe the people he stuck by. The who. He had the Baby on his album. He brought him out, Marilyn Manson
Marilyn
out.
Manson, yeah,
When they're canceled. So maybe the people he stuck by throughout everything they went through, they'll stick with him. So
maybe, I don't know. I feel like cancel culture was like at different levels at different years, but Kanye's at maybe the highest level of cancel you can be right now. So I mean, we'll see. My first hot take: Frank Ocean will drop an album, and it'll be more than an album. I think he'll have like a movie, or he's gonna have something bigger. It's not gonna be just an album. What are you smirking at
um,
over there?
we can go back and forth on this. For my number two here, Frank Ocean will not drop an album this year.
Okay, that's funny.
That's perfect placement and everything. I just keep thinking to the point of given the Andre 3000 comparison that I gave him last week, and that is like really stuck with me, and I'm really like hammering down on that.
It's just raps, you think?
I think I don't think he's gonna be inactive in music. He'll feature on songs here and there, or potentially single stuff like that. But I don't think we're. I could. I guess my prediction is we're not going to get a full length Frank Ocean album at least this year, or potentially ever again. So
I mean, I don't know. Like the sick thing is, like, as much as I believe that he's gonna drop,
Mhm.
I almost equally believe that he's just never going to drop
Mhm.
again because it's
Yeah,
something that like I haven't experienced in so long that it might just not happen.
and my thing too is like with the Coachella appearance, like you can't tell me he doesn't have enough of a catalog to go out there and do a performance, and everybody would be satisfied with that.
Hmm.
Probably, I mean, maybe even almost happier with that than something newer that he released, that they may not like as much. So I don't think him performing at Coachella or whatever festival after that is going to pencil him in to drop an album. Whereas a Travis Scott is dropping this year.
Hmm. That's a really interesting point about Coachella. And I just saw a TikTok recently about this, and it was something that I've always kind of thought about. When you're dropping music before a festival, the fans aren't necessarily going to know it. Is that a good thing or a bad thing? This person was making the claim that, I think in the case of Frank Ocean, it's a good thing. When you're going to see Frank Ocean, you want to hear Frank Ocean. When he's playing these songs, you're going to hear people just screaming the lyrics. Like, does it
Yeah.
almost take away from the experience not being able to like just solely hear Frank? And so then would it be a good thing that he drops the album like the weekend before Coachella? Like he drops on
Mhm.
Friday and then performs on Saturday. Like, is that the best move? Because then you'd be getting the new music, you'd be getting the performance, and you'd probably be hearing the songs with like the least amount of disturbance from the crowd
Mhm.
possible, which I think does sound kind of nice. And then
It
he was
does.
making the point that, that's kind of what Kendrick did with Damn. He
Mhm.
dropped Damn and then he performed at Coachella the same weekend. And so maybe we could see that from Frank again this year.
Yeah, I feel like you're looking into it too much. Then, like, am I at these concerts not enjoying myself just because everybody else is singing? Like, I feel like I have that locked in vision. I'm enjoying myself regardless of the conditions,
Mhm.
unless Baby Tron is performing at the
That's exactly what
Riviera
I
in
thought of. Yeah.
Chicago. Um, I mean, unless you have like just some obnoxious case like that, but like in New York, Pusha T, we did Runaway, or he did run. We did Runaway. The crowd did Runaway, and
Hmm.
that was one of my favorite moments I've had at a concert. So I feel like you can give and take with that. I feel like unless it's just some really over the top obnoxious person, then you're gonna enjoy yourself. So
I do feel that. I think there's almost a difference though between Pusha T and Frank Ocean. Like at a rap show, it is kind of about the crowd interaction. It's about, all that rapping back to the artist. I feel like that is like a thing. But I kind of feel like when you're at these shows and artists that are so much more focused on like their vocal performance, like a Frank Ocean, like a Weekend, that has to shine sometimes. And sometimes the fans, might be able to take away from it. But then I will say at the same time, when I did see the Weekend, I don't think anybody in the crowd took away from it. But I will say I personally was feeling self-conscious about my singing ability, just sitting there trying to sing along, and I'm like, I don't know, man. This
this
isn't
isn't
my
me.
forte. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Who am I trying to be? I'm not trying to be Abel. I'm trying to be me. I'm a fan. I'm not him. So yeah, I don't know.
I think
We'll see what happens.
yeah, there's sides each side to it. Good and bad with both sides. So
Yeah. But I'll finish up with like my point about it being more than an album. I think Frank Ocean will drop more than an album. I think it could be a short film. I think it could be, I don't know, so many different things. It could be something I wouldn't even think of. But I think it's been so long. Obviously, music is enough, but I think Frank is just such a creative guy that it could be more than music at some point. Obviously, he has like Blonde magazine with, the Blonde era. So I feel like he could do something else, maybe even a step further with
yeah,
this release. So we'll see.
I really like that point there. If he were to drop an album, it's going to be something more. Or like even with the radio show, yeah, something like that. I mean, you're just
Mhm.
doing something all new with that. So
100%. We'll
I like
see.
your point there.
I'll move on here since you got your second take in there with my first one. My second hot take or a prediction is the double XL freshman list will actually be good this year. The thing is, I haven't
Oh,
really thought about who's going to be on it, anything like that. But just, I feel like there's been so many years that obviously with social media, you're going to have varying opinions. You're going to hear the bad thoughts. But I think that, maybe they've heard that enough and they want to just deliver with a good list one year. We'll see.
yeah. I haven't thought too much about it. I've had like one lock that I'm 100% certain they have to be on it. Ice Spice, deserving of that spot for
Mm.
sure. So
I can see you're
um,
turning it down. You know what I mean?
turning it,
Like,
yeah, I could see it turning it down. but that'd be my freshman that I'm gonna choose and lock in. But yeah, I feel like it is setting up for a pretty good list.
Yeah, I'm not sure, in terms of who would be on it, but I think that, every year there's enough people that are on, the verge of blowing up or have just blown up that belong on that list. And so many people go, unnoticed or unchosen. But hey, my thought this year, it's going to be the year. I guess, it's an optimism coming out of me, but I want to see it. I think the double XL list used to be so special. And, maybe that was like my youth and those were just the people I was coming up on. And I just haven't been feeling it with these people, but I have good feeling about this year. We'll see.
Definitely. I feel like the potential is always there. It's just getting the correct people in the correct spots for the list.
Hmm.
So um,
Exactly.
hopefully we're in store for a great list. So for my third take here, I have Don't Be Dumb. I feel like it's going to receive the testing and the whole lot of red treatment. Where he's trying to bring in this new Aesop's trying to bring in this new innovative sound, and people just aren't understanding it initially, or feeling it as much. But then you come back to it a couple years down the line, and you're like, oh, okay, now I'm bumping this or whatever. Um, so I mean that'll be my take for Don't Be Dumb.
Well, this is timing working out again. My take, number three, also an ASAP Rocky take. ASAP Rocky will have the album of the year.
Wow, yeah, we are differing opinions here.
But
Hey,
we are like
we're gonna
we're thinking about the same people though, so this is interesting. I like this.
we're gonna one of us is gonna be right next year though when we're going over
Yeah,
this. So
exactly. That's what I'm saying. I know. I guess this is the one where I was trying to go hot take. You know what I mean? Like, there's so many people that are gonna drop this year that I won't say it's unlikely that ASAP Rocky's have the album of the year, but like I was trying to go with like a hot take here because Frank's gonna drop. Frank could have album of the year. Travis could have album of the year. So many people could have album of the year, obviously. But it's been a minute since we heard from Rocky. When ASAP Rocky drops, it's a moment. He's very adventurous with his different styles he, makes music in. And I'm just excited to see what he does. And I really think that there's so much potential here. Like you said, it's going to be experimental, probably, like testing, hopefully at least. But I think that's a good thing. I think that a lot of times, when you're talking about album of the year, you want it to wow you. And I think that when you experiment, it does wow you more than if you do a cookie cutter rap album. Everybody could have Metro Boomin produce, everybody could have feature from Lil Baby. You know what I mean? Like, but I think when you get into experimenting and doing different things, that's when you have a contender for album of the year. And I think Rocky's gonna be doing that, which gives him a chance to have album of the year. So I don't know. We'll see. But like, you said it might be hated at first. People might grow to it later. We'll see. I don't know. I think there's potential there, and that's what matters.
definitely, we'll have to see what happens though. I mean, Don't Be Dumb's coming. I think
Hmm.
I feel like we both feel like it's a quarter one album, so we'll be able to give you that review and see what we're feeling initially. So,
Hmm.
um, moving on, we're talking about album of the year. Baby Keem's gonna have an album of the week. He's going to drop a number one album for this year. So I feel
Okay.
like that. I don't know how hot of a take that is. Top five album there with the melodic blues. So I mean, it's not too crazy to assume that he's just gonna take that jump, which I feel like we all feel he's in store for. So
Hmm. No, I think it's I won't say like likely, but it could definitely happen. Especially as he levels up, I feel like he's going to get bigger features. Obviously, Kendrick is a huge feature, but Drake was a big fan of "Die for My Bitch." I remember. You know, Keem has that leaked verse from "What's Next," so maybe a Drake collab. I mean, that's always going to do big numbers. You never know what could happen on Keem's project, but yeah, I think it's definitely possible for him to go number one. We'll see.
yeah, it's gonna be deserved. I hope. I hope he's drops a number one quality worth of album there. So we'll see what happens. But that's my prediction. So
Okay. I'll move on here to my number four prediction, and that is Childish Gambino will release an album. I feel like he's somebody that it could really go either way. I would say it's more unlikely than it is likely. He's a person that could never release an album again. He is like a Frank Ocean in that way. I think Childish Gambino's coming. I think there
hey
will
yo,
be pause. I think he will drop. He just finished up Atlanta. He's obviously got a lot of different things going on with acting and all that. But I feel like he's always gonna have some love for music, and I wouldn't put it past him to drop this year. But if he doesn't drop this year, I just need him in the Community movie, and I'll be okay. So as long as I get some Donald Glover this year in some way, pause. That's what all that matters.
Yeah, no, I don't hate that take. I put him and Frank Ocean about the same odds, honestly. I'm maybe
Mhm.
Frank Ocean's got to be a little bit higher with the
I
Coachella
would say
performance,
Frank
but
Kyer too.
a little bit, but we'll see what happens. Like you said, that's another person who could never drop again. So um, for my final hot take here, this is gonna be a pretty hot one. These other ones are, I see how you feel about them, but I think Travis Scott with Utopia is going to have a top 2 Travis Scott project, regardless of if you give Rodeo or Astroworld the nod, whichever you have there. I think it's going to pair with everybody's taste, where it's going to be top 2. So that's my hope, at least. I need to go to Travis project. So
I think we all need that. And I wouldn't be surprised if it is. I mean, those projects are both great. And I feel like, especially when Astroworld dropped, I had so much like recency bias that I was like, oh yeah, this is the one. And I was like, oh, this might be better than Rodeo. But then, I got my senses back and I was like, okay, Rodeo is the one for me personally. Yeah, I wouldn't be mad if you had to ask for Roll, I guess. It's personal preference at the end of the day. But
Astroworld's his best project.
okay, for me, Rodeo, for
Yeah,
you, Astroworld. So
you're
see, we just
wrong.
gotta pass
You're
up the
wrong.
opposite one for each other. But yeah, I think there's definitely potential there. I think it is, a fairly hot take because whichever one you put at number 2 is still very, very good. So
Yeah,
it has a high bar to set, but yeah, we'll see.
that's why I didn't, just assume Astroworld as the number 1 album, because I knew you had conflicting feelings there. So hopefully it
Mhm.
just surpasses Astroworld for you and then Rodeo for me.
Hopefully, we'll see. Moving on, my final prediction. One of the 2010s big 3 will retire this year. The big 3 meaning Kendrick, J. Cole, or Drake. One of them is going to retire this year. And if I had to pick which one, I'm going to say J. Cole. I think he's going to drop the fall off. It's a boy, whatever it's going to be. And that's going to be it. I think Cole's going to call it a career. If I had to pick one of the 3, but I'm just going to say generally one of the 3 is going to just call it a wrap. Kendrick, I would say it's Kendrick and Cole, pretty equal odds. And then Drake, I would say, has like less of a chance, but I just
I
have a feeling, there haven't been that many artists like that we really like grew up on retire. And I
retired.
think we're going to start to see that soon.
I I don't think I feel like J. Cole is the one I'd give the least odds to retire, which is how active he's been, and he's just putting so many, the Dreamville guys on, or he's always gonna be active within the Dreamville project, stuff like that. Maybe his final solo album, I guess.
That I guess that's more what I
Okay,
would say.
yeah.
Yeah.
But I feel like I don't know, and I've always, I've stuck with this take for a year now. J. Cole is at his peak. I'd say he's the best of the 3 right now.
Kind of
And
gives me
I
some
don't
like LeBron vibes. Like,
yeah,
LeBron's
I don't
38, but
think
he's running it. I don't
I don't
know.
think I don't think J. Cole was ever the best out of the 3. I mean, 2014 Forest Hills. I mean, maybe at that point, but I still feel like Drake was larger. Kendrick was much larger,
Mm-hmm.
and I feel like now, J. Cole is. I feel like he really solidified himself as a top guy. So maybe he'll go out with that, go out on top. So
Yeah, I mean, I think being an artist is such a tricky thing because you want to do as much as you can or as much as fulfills you. But I think there's some point where it starts to diminish a little bit. Like you look like an Eminem. I mean, he's always going to be the example where he had such a great career, and then some of the later years. I mean, obviously he's still going to sell a lot of records. He's still going to have some hits, but like I feel like his just image in general just isn't what it once was, and I would hate for one of those big 3 to go through that.
and I feel like we're already seeing that with Drake somewhat.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, not in my eyes, because he's still putting out quality music for some people, for a certain group, or for different. It's not the same as Take Care Drake, or if reading this is too late Drake. So I mean, it's just a tricky situation with that. I feel like it's just all about perspective for sure.
I would agree, but we'll see. I'm excited to come back to these in 2024. Crazy to say 2024 will be next year, but next year, and we'll see how we did. We didn't do so hot with our 2022 predictions, so hopefully we do better this year.
Definitely. I'm feeling pretty good about ours. You know, and for some of our answers, one of us has to be right. Um,
Exactly.
so for two of them at least. So we'll see what happens.
Yes, sir. Let's move on here to the news for this week, though. Another light week. I sent you a meme when I saw the album releases this week, and it was, I forget what cartoon character, but it's a cartoon character getting
It's
into bed.
SpongeBob.
It was
Or
SpongeBob getting into bed, I think. And I said me at 11:59 on Friday night or on Thursday night. And it's because none of these releases just got me excited anymore. This week we got projects from NBA YoungBoy, French Montana, and DJ Drama with a collab. Then we got singles from Quavo, Skrillex featuring Trippie Redd and Pink Pantheress, and then Popcorn featuring Drake. Just not a crazy week. I was thinking back, and I mean, we're coming on. No, we already had the 1 year anniversary for DS Forever and Dawn FM. So 2022 definitely was off to a
this
hotter
is our
start.
1 year anniversary.
It's close. I think we put our first episode 28th. So next coming up. But yeah, soon. Yeah, I don't know. Definitely off to a slower start this year, but not saying it's going to be a worse year by any means. We'll see how it turns out. Just hasn't been anything really getting me excited this draft. The Quavo single was cool. Obviously, a big takeoff tribute there. Nothing else really got me excited. I'm
Well,
ready for the one that does, though.
yeah. So there's something coming up. You know, we have it. It's not a really. I didn't give any of the releases too much of a listen. To be honest, didn't give them a listen at all. Besides this Quavo single, but Luka Trončić, the Tron, Megatron,
Mr. Make
what
It
are
Happen.
Mr. Make It he's dropping this week. So we're gonna tune in for that. And I mean, you already know how Baby Tron's coming, so I know we'll be satisfied with that at least.
We will. I think, Babytron, I'll say it. He will have album of the year for however long until
For the
somebody else
first,
drops. For
yeah,
the first month, he
okay,
might have album of the year.
yeah.
Like
I
there's a
mean,
point where he's gonna be top ladder. Like it's
I'm
like
really,
week one of the NBA season when somebody has like a 50-point game. Hey, they're number one on the MVP ladder for that first week. So I think Babytron, I mean, if somebody else surprise drops, they might take it from him. But as of right now, for that first 3 weeks, of 2023, Babytron might be the
I'm
favorite for
excited.
album of the year.
Definitely, and I'm excited to see if he continues with the growth that we saw in the Old Testament. So
Mm-hmm.
we'll see what
I think he's
happens.
going
Yo,
to.
I'm super excited to listen to it. Most anticipated album of the year so far.
100%. We'll get to that next week, though. Moving on here, Stargirl Interlude by The Weeknd featuring Lana Del Rey becomes the most streamed interlude on Spotify. Massive W. This is one of my favorite songs of all time. I remember it was my number one song on my Spotify Wrapped the first year I was on Spotify. People were like questioning me on that because it wasn't as big as it is. And then
Yeah,
TikTok got a
they
hold
weren't
of it.
understand. Yeah, they weren't
They weren't
understanding
here
it.
when I was here.
You were 2 steps ahead.
I was, and I love that track. I'll forever love that track. So I'm very happy for the Weeknd here with that massive W.
Amazing track there, deserving of, I don't know about most streamed ever, but deserving of one of the spots up there for sure. So
Yeah, kind of crazy. I also want to, really quickly go back to the songs of the week that we chose. What Goes Around Comes Around by Justin Timberlake says interlude in it. And that is like the longest song I've
yeah,
ever seen called an interlude. Just got to say that. Next year, vinyl sales are at their all-time highest since 1991.
I mean,
W here, pretty interesting.
yeah, you see what I got behind me. You know, I've started a wave around the world, worldwide. All these viewers are seeing all these back here. They're inspired. So, um, I mean, to all these vinyl companies, you're the people that produce the actual vinyl CDs or for it. You're welcome. You're welcome for boosting your numbers. Cut me
Oh
a
yeah,
check.
run me my bread. Next one, Young Thug charged with 8 charges out of a possible 56.
W, W for sure.
Yeah, W. I mean, 56 is a lot. So I mean, 8's still, pretty good amount, but hoping the best for Young Thug,
You free him.
Final news here. J. Cole clears his Instagram. Everybody, reads into what this
Possible
means.
retirement coming up.
You said it here. I don't know.
If it's with with your take there. So
It does.
album's
It's either
coming
an
up for
album
sure.
or it's retiring. Well, who
Yeah.
knows? My kind of included both, though. I feel like the news lately has become on like ESPN Pardon the Interruption. Like they run through those news like at the last minute.
Yeah.
That's what we've been on. But that's going to do it for the news. I mean, pretty short week, nothing too crazy that we really wanted to dive into. Just want to make sure you guys were aware of all those things that were happening in the rap game. Episode 50 next week. Big
Ox
episode for us,
battles, yeah.
obviously. Ox Battle rematch. Tune in. It's gonna be a banger.
Who's gonna solidify themselves? Because winner of game 6 wins, or what is it, game 5?
Yeah.
Goes on to win the series the majority of the time. So huge game here out of the 7-game series. So stay tuned. Go vote on the IG next week, or we'll have an episode out before then. So we'll reiterate the message before then.
Oh yeah, and we're doing a little AMP radio stream, playing our songs. So make sure to tune in. But as always, it's gonna be a banger. So make sure to come back. We'll see you guys.